Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya. Now, I think these guys are a little bit misunderstood. I really do. Whittaker has his feathers up, which, by the way, doesn't happen very often, right? If this was a dude that gets pissed off all the time, it'd probably blow right past me. Whittaker's very agitated. I think possibly falsely. Here's what I mean. Adesanya had come out. Adesanya's got this fight coming up. He's taking on Cannonier. He's doing media. He's talking about all sorts of stuff. He's spreading it to Sean Strickland just in case. He's ready to take on Pierre, right? He's Adesanya. He's doing everything right. He gets asked about Whittaker. Now, I thought Adesanya was trying to help Bobby Knuckles out because he said, I think he needs to leave the division. I think he needs to go up to 205 pounds. But Adesanya made it very clear that Robert Whittaker could be an instant contender up there. And he went a little bit further to make it sound as though he believes he could win the championship. So it was very nice. That's how I interpret it. It's very nice. And he's saying he's not going to get back to me. Even if he gets back to, I am not interested. Been there, done that, been there, done that again. I'm just not interested. I accept that. Now, I'm not saying that Whittaker needs to. Not at all. And Whittaker's not, but Whittaker's hot. It really appeared to piss him off. And Whittaker said, and Whittaker's going to plant his feet. You can always run. You can always flee. It was also my advice to Whittaker as far as seeing a much clearer blueprint and likely path to getting to a title fight, let alone a championship. He's got to leave the weight class. But you can also plant your feet and fight. You ain't got to run. And that's what Whittaker is going to do. Now, I fully appreciate and respect that, but Whittaker has said in his rebuke to Adesanya, I'm going to beat everybody here. I'm going to start scratching names off the list till I'm the only one, and then I am going to fight you again. Now, that's a strategy. Sure. If you want to go through and beat everybody there till nobody's left, sure, that's a strategy. I could tell you off the top of my head, I'm pretty good at this. But off the top of my head, I could tell you 3 times in the history of the sport, dating back to 1993, that that's worked. Now, I know a number of guys that got after it. I even know guys that beat up everybody in their way. The problem was, right, you're top 5 guy. You've already fought one of the guys, so now you only got to beat 3 guys in the top 5. Your deduction is, I'm the only guy in the top 5. I'm the guy left. Give me the fight. Like, that deduction isn't bad. The problem is, in your process of knocking those 3 other guys off, number 7 takes out number 2. He comes in, 2 goes out, and now you're behind a round. Like, that's just the way that those always tend to play out. I do think it's very hard for Robert Whittaker to get back to Israel Adesanya. I wouldn't support it, in all fairness. I can't think of anybody that Whittaker could fight, beat, or how many times he could fight and beat somebody that I'm going to go, hey, the fight I want to see. I'm just not. I'm out. And it's not because those weren't great fights. I thought Whittaker beat Adesanya the second time. I thought we were going to have a new champion. I was live in that arena. I was ready for the words and knew. That doesn't change the fact that leading into that fight, Whittaker didn't do his job. That's the truth. That is the truth. I could tell you about that fight. I could tell you about rounds 1. I could tell you the song Robert Whittaker walked out to. How do you like that for a memory? I could not tell you an interview that Robert Whittaker did before that fight. I can tell you interviews that Robert Whittaker refused to do before that fight. And he somehow isn't seeing this. And this is one of the gentlemen of our sport. I don't say this to give him a hard time. I say this with the hope, hey man, it's not too late. What you did today, speaking about Adesanya, laying your case, going to scratch everybody. This is good stuff. This is good, solid stuff. Planting your ground, refusing to run. This is my weight class. This is my division. I beat you before. I will beat you again. This is good stuff. But to look at a decision maker, I mean, we just don't do fights a third time. We don't go to a trilogy fight when you didn't split results in the first 2. And until Volkanovski and Holloway touch gloves on July 2nd, that statement is an absolute. That will be the one exception. So I don't know how clear that path is going to be, but I also don't think that Robert Whittaker understands the politics of it and what's going to keep him out. And he picked up a phone and said, hey, Chael's saying this. He's not right about that, right? All I got to do is win fight. The voice on the other end is going, no, Chael didn't know what he's talking about. I'm right. I'm 100% right. When we got the information, guys, this was a big moment. When we got the information that Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje was the biggest pay-per-view of the year, that was jaw-dropping because it did 400,000 buys. Adesanya is a bigger star than Gaethje or Oliveira. So it wasn't Adesanya's fault. And then you go back to the heavyweight championship fight, which is the single greatest storyline in mixed martial arts heavyweight history. And we don't know what those numbers did. And we don't know by today's standard if those are good, bad, or indifferent. We just know that they lost out to two guys that, in all fairness, right, we love Gaethje and we love Oliveira. Neither guy standing on his own is a bigger star than Francis Ngannou, than George Masvidal, which also fought this year, or the fight that I'm talking about that happens to contain Adesanya. It wasn't their fault. It's a big deal if you don't seem to understand that. It's a tremendous piece. And what Whittaker's motivation is, I would admire it. I'm not one to judge it. If he made it to the top of the mountain, he fell, and he's trying to climb back, that is an honorable thing to do. If he is willing to go through absolutely anybody, he's not looking to play any games. He's going to beat him, and he's going to beat them all. Guys, that is awesome. It is different, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, it's different when you've already had that opportunity not once but twice. The first time you had it, you broke an industry record with 57,000 live in attendance. The next time you do it, we don't know how bad it did, but we know it did worse than Oliveira versus Gaethje. And before you guys tell me how much you love that, shut up with that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me and make it look like I'm being the jerk here. You didn't love Oliveira. You do now. I understand that. Oliveira was not a big deal going into the Gaethje fight. He is now. That's a very different conversation that we're having. But if you don't understand those pieces, if you deny what I just said to be true, I'm never going to get you here. I did a piece last week about you guys. You don't like Valentina Shevchenko. And then I had to hear from you guys how I'm putting Valentina down. How am I putting Valentina down? You will sit over here and raise your hand like you love her? Great. Go to Twitter right now. Send me a picture with you with a Valentina shirt. Send me a picture that you have a Valentina, that you waited in line and you have her signed. I'll stand down. Any one of you do it. Tell me who you want her next opponent to be, and you just can't wait until it comes. Tell me why she's still a co-main event. I'm not being a jerk. I'm asking very tough questions so that we can get to the bottom of it. If you want to have a beautiful record, that can help you to get a title fight. If you have the mandate of the masses, you're getting the title fight. This is being proven right in front of us. Dana White has said if Conor McGregor wants to come back for a championship fight, that's what he'll do, because he has the mandate of the masses. There is nothing more powerful. I think some of you would rather have a 10-0 record. I think some of you would rather be on an 8-fight win streak. If I could have an 8-fight win streak, or I can have the community cheering and propelling me forward. These aren't close options, guys. Skills are not going to make you money in this sport. Popularity will. These are extremely basic concepts that I'm laying out. But if you reject them from Jump Street and you refuse to learn that, what do you want me to do? I could tell you what song Robert Whittaker walked out to. I cannot tell you an interview that he did prior to that fight. So he's talking and he's demanding it now. That has my interest. But if we're going to do a deal, I'm going to give you $50 to watch you in a cage for up to 25 minutes. That's the deal. That's not the deal. I really would encourage you guys to see Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury respects you. And Tyson Fury one day realized, decided all on his own, 12 rounds of my left and right hand is not a fair exchange for your $50, because I can't guarantee you're going to get all 12 rounds, and I'm not giving you a refund if I'm out of here in 6. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on these outfits, I'm going to show up at these events, and I'm going to have these things to say. I'm going to sing you this song at the end. He's just started to add a level of entertainment. And he's still charging you the same amount of money. It's a very interesting concept. Because if you're going for a world title fight, we're not looking to just see you get that belt around your waist and throw punches and kicks and fight over guillotines and double legs for up to 25 minutes. There's another barter going on here. There's another exchange. That barter and that exchange is understood and respected by Israel Adesanya, as well as anybody this sport has, as well as anybody this sport has ever had. Israel Adesanya has picked his next opponent for every single opponent he has had since he has been the undisputed champion. All of them. He has decided, and you know what? He decides that night. He doesn't leave. He doesn't go in the back to a press conference where there's way less eyeballs. He does it right there in the octagon. I'm not making this up. I'm not getting you out pretty close. 100% of the time, Adesanya's already decided. He says he's not fighting Whittaker. You want to plant your feet? You want to stand and fight? You want to go against all of that? I respect it. I really do. If I could offer you another way, I think that that's fair and reasonable by me. And I'm just like a detective, okay? I'm only as good as the information I've been given. So if you want to come and tell me, here's what I'm going to do differently, and you want to talk about a jab and slipping outside and getting to the body, so next time you get in there with Adesanya, you can win more rounds and get his belt. Okay, but you've lost me. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to nod and I'm going to pretend that's good. You need to come out and tell me how you're going to get interest, how you're going to try to repair the deal that you made with the fans. Because the last time we did this and we signed you up for this, you thought we were just going to do 5 rounds on a given night. The audience thought we're going to have an entire circus and a whole bunch of fun leading into this. We're going to parlay off the 57,000 industry-wide record. And when you decided to double-cross us, we're going to think twice before we put you back in that spot. That's the truth. And some of you guys don't like it. And some of you are pretending that you're Valentina fans. And some people are not going to get shots at 185 pounds. And some people are not going to become main events. And I'm not the jerk for being the one that points it out.